all new. AM 1150 WTMP.com.
How we make sausage. How we make hot dogs. It's interesting.
This after.
It's advertising so you know how to make it. All right. It's Saturday afternoon, and for those folks around Tampa Bay, you know what that means. That means that the herd of elephants have arrived, and your day will change for the better. Again, all day. Now I got to give it to Sean. That last guest, I gotta appreciate some of the stuff she was saying. She's a different type of Democrat, if there is such a thing, because I pretty much agree with a lot of stuff that she was saying. Now, of course, me and Sean have our differences, and we understand, but that young lady, has some smart things to say that I agree with. So
some conservative values. That's good. Wholeheartedly.
So
yeah, a lot of Democrats that way.
It's Porch Talk Radio. Eddie is here. Gabriel is here. Got a great guest that's with us today, and we're gonna do what we normally do on Saturday. We're gonna kind of, bring everything into crystal clarity, make some statements, and again, for you guys who are not regulars listening to the show, hopefully you don't break your radio, and throw stuff at it, because that's what people normally do the first couple of times they hear the show. And then they get used to it. Then they start liking it.
They get wise.
And I don't know whether they tune in because they don't like me, or they tune in because they like me, or they tune in because I am slowly but surely growing onto them. Because I got people say, "Oh, Eddie, you changing?" No, Eddie ain't changing. I can show you and let you hear shows I did 10 years ago. I'm pretty much saying the same thing. It wasn't corona. It was swine flu. It was Ebola, it was whatever the disease or whatever the tantrum was at the time, that stuff don't make a difference in how people feel at the end of the day, because it's all manipulated by the media. So if you want some truth, you came to the right show. You got the radio tuned to the right station, and we're going to give it to you for an hour. We're going to sit here and do some stuff, probably say some things you ain't heard before, and because I challenge my audience to listen, actively. So if I say something,
listen actively,
and
that's not a married thing, is it?
You vehemently disagree with what I'm saying, or if I say something that's wrong, of course I know this audience, these folks will call me.
We got some smart people listening.
Say, Eddie, you said so and so,
really sharp
but
people.
then it's so and so. So at the end of the day, we have active listeners. We got some stuff going on in the community. We got some national stuff going on, and we got a guest that we're going to kind of interview and introduce you to here today. So you know how we do this. If you want to call in during this show, again, this is a talk radio show, so that's not a bad thing. So if you want to call in during the show, the call-in number here at WTMP is 813-251-9867. 813-251-9867. If you want to call me after the show or sometime during the week to talk about some issue or something that came up, my cell phone number, Eddie Adams Jr. cell phone number is 813-212. You want to email me, Eddie, EDDIE, at porchtalkradio.com. If you want to just email, us, comment to us, again, the website is porchtalkradio.com. I was supposed to have a meeting Thursday with my good friend Jeff Akins, who was the current superintendent of Hillsborough County Schools. And I've been meeting with Jeff every 2 months since he's been the superintendent of Hillsborough County Schools. And we had a regularly scheduled meeting for Thursday, and Thursday at 1:30. And I got a call from his secretary, Thursday morning to say the meeting had to be canceled because they had an emergency. So I was trying to figure out, what emergency they had, but I was told that they had to close down one of the schools because of the coronavirus. Something had went on, And she said that I will reschedule, set up your meeting with the new superintendent. Well, at that time, I did not know we was getting a new superintendent. Because the new superintendent supposed to have been, Allison Davis. Davis was supposed to take over in June, and Jeff was going to be here till then. Little did I know, later on, same day, I got a call saying, well, what she was talking about is Jeff's last day. Jeff Atkins, for those who did not know, his last day was yesterday. So the new guy's already in charge, and as they say, he's already running stuff. So I will make an effort at my meeting with the new guy. Hopefully he will continue to do as Jeff did, meet with him every 2 months and talk about stuff and get in front of stuff and try to get him on the show.
That's excellent. So
that will be my effort, at our first meeting to get him to come talk to you. Now he has been on Michelle Patty's show, because that all stuff happened when there was a turmoil, and some misunderstandings going on. So first thing I would like to do is clear the air. So we're not enemies because we have to live with him. So we have to figure out, Now I say that, and I have to think about, we did do that same thing for Hart. Hart got a new CEO, and in 8 months he was gone. So I'm not wishing bad luck. I'm just saying, I told you guys who our superintendent of schools was going to be. I told you guys who listened to this show in December who the guy was. I didn't know him, still don't know him, but look forward to meeting him.
Absolutely, and, working with him. We got to work with him.
Clearing the field. Let him know, we're going to work together, again, whatever we can do to make this a better community is where I stand and what we do. And later, when we get through with our guests, we may talk a little bit about the Corona scare, because I always thought when Disney closed their gates, it's something up. But I still don't know anybody that has coronavirus. And Tampa General, the CEO, was on the mayor's press conference the other day, and they got 100 ventilators and 81 beds and not one case of corona. I'm just saying.
Eddie, so tell me, I'm trying to grasp, why is Purell and toilet paper in short supply? Were people not washing their hands and wiping their butt? I just don't understand. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe that's why we got this issue now. See, I don't get it.
See, I'm a different kind of a person, because last year I bought 48 rolls of toilet paper, because I buy toilet paper in the giant boxes to save. So I buy...
To save?
Well, that's because some people actually think ahead and they buy stuff.
You were
like
doing that weekly then? You weren't stocking up?
No.
Okay,
because I may buy enough for a year, so I get a big old box of So I don't have to go. I don't have to go and stand in line to get toilet paper like everybody else is doing that and complain about, there's no toilet paper.
But if you save, you can also probably get a 55-gallon drum of Purell.
Again, there's certain things that you got to worry about. And until I actually know somebody, hear of somebody that I actually know of who has the virus, to me, I'm kind of like the president. Everybody mad at the president because the president did not fall back behind, this is a virus, it's not a hoax. He still talked like he had some inkling that this is more of a media hysteria than it is anything else, but that's not what I'm saying.
Well, now also, Eddie, they asked him, Mr. President, aren't you going to get tested? He said, well, I asked the doctor that runs the team for the United States of America, and he said, I'm fine.
And then he turned around and shook everybody's hand.
Yeah. But he said, I might go ahead and do it, just to do it. And then my wife was saying, well, why didn't he just go do it? I said, don't you understand? Yeah. If he did it every day until November 2020, it wouldn't matter.
It wouldn't matter.
It wouldn't matter. It would not matter.
It's part of a media blitz to try to make him look bad. But I'm going to tell you guys, I have and anybody who's a regular listener, I have an undergraduate degree in microbiology. And I pretty much understand how this stuff actually works. And this virus is not special. It's not new. It came around in 1920. and they gave the Corona 19. You know, everybody think it's 19 version of the Corona. No, they gave it the 19 Corona 19 because this version of it came out last year, and the 19 is part of the naming process because it's 2019.
Eddie, I'm sorry, you're not politically correct here. CNN didn't say that. CNN said the world will end in the next few days unless we give $8.5 billion that Nancy Pelosi is getting Planned Parenthood money in there, that Mr. Trump went around her and did that national emergency thing and just busted open the bank with $50 billion for the states. That was smart.
Well, again, they doing what they do.
They got to get that blood flowing from them abortions to stay there in power. It's terrible.
She can't sign a
bill. About Americans.
She can't sign a bill and make it a bill.
Okay, you're right.
She can only pass it through the House.
It's just politics,
then
folks.
It goes to the Senate.
This is why
then
people
it goes
hate
to the
politics.
president. Then it goes to the president.
It's a blood sport.
So anyway, this is about educating. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and introduce to you again. I guess today on Porch Talk Radio, Miss Selena Ward, who I have had the privilege, honor, and her husband is in the studio, so I can't help but be good. I can't act all crazy. Y'all know how folks say. My reputation don't supersede me sometimes.
He's lying. I know his wife.
So
beat him down though.
I know my wife too.
Yeah,
so part of this whole process is District 5 for school board. This young lady impressed me. Now for those folks who understand that I am a staunch, diehard conservative Republican, this young lady is not a Republican, but in this particular race, there are no Republicans. This is like the black seat. It's been named.
It's one that's allowed.
It's been named by a lot of folks to be the black seat, and we don't have any Republicans running, so I can pick whoever I want to cheer for, and whoever I want to support, and whoever I want to do what I do for. So, and I have several candidates that I'm helping and being involved with. So, and you guys know how we do politics here on Porch Talk Radio. So, without any further ado, I'm going to let her introduce herself, tell you a little bit about her. I'm going to say up front, she's an ex-military, and she can
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
She'll tell you where she was and what she did.
Army.
And
that's strong. That's good.
Gabriel, let me finish introducing the
lady. All right.
Okay.
Well,
so Tampa Bay, for those who have not met and those who don't know of, I would like to introduce you here on Porch Talk Radio to Miss Selena Ward.
Hello. Well, thank you so much for having me also. And it's a privilege to know you as well. And I definitely am honored to be here with the both of you. You introduced me, but I feel obligated to say what we spoke about earlier,
Yes.
that I am Curtis's mother. So Curtis is the 11-year-old that listens all day, starting 8 a.m. in the morning.
Smart kid, there, very smart.
To WTMP. So he is definitely listening. So him and my other two daughters, but I'm Curtis's mother, so I think I'm being known as that more than anything right now.
Well, that's the good thing, because that's why, when she said I got an 11-year-old who reminds me to listen to the show, well, folks, once somebody tell me that, I got to make sure everybody knows it, because 11 years old is probably the youngest listener that I know of. Before it was teenagers. Now
he gets it, Eddie. We got people 5 times that age don't get it. He's got it at 11. That's awesome.
He's a smart young man.
Thank you. And and that's my passion. Children. I love all children. So as a former educator, that I like to tell everyone, that's one thing that a lot of people don't know about me, is that I'm a former educator. I taught 10th and 11th grade language arts at Compton High School in Compton, California.
That's a tough school.
Yeah. You know what? That was one of the best experiences besides the military that I believe I had in my life.
That's tougher.
Yeah, I'm coming from a small town in Kentucky. I learned a lot.
And you got shoes on. Just saying.
I'm from Western, so so we wore shoes there. So, Western Kentucky. But yes, the military and that experience at Compton, I believe those are two things that help form my passion and shape me into the person that I am today and the love that I have for community and children. District 5 is a great area to be in, but we have some work to do. And I am excited. I also am determined, and I'm ready to work. Right now, with the different things that are going on in the world, one thing that I know that we need is a leader that is responsive. And I think that is one of the things that I also admire about you, Eddie, is that you respond, you talk, you're transparent, and people listen. regardless, we're adults.
Right.
And
yes.
so we agree to disagree. We won't always, agree on everything. But when you have people that will sit around the table and have conversations about progress, that's highly important. That's one of the things we need to do with education.
Yes.
We need to talk more about what's happening day to day. You can't sit at a table, at a meeting.
Right. No. Yeah.
And make decisions for a neighborhood. You have to be on the ground, just like in the military. You have different things that happen. You have your soldiers, and then you have your command.
You're right.
But everyone knows that an officer always
Right.
wants that sergeant major beside him.
Right.
That's that person that's hitting the ground and doing the work.
That's what's going to protect his butt.
Yes.
That's
and
going to protect his rear.
That's right. And now I have to throw a little shout out because I do have a master sergeant in my life. My husband has served over 23 years, still
Goodness.
serving. And that's another thing too, that we are a family that serves. My great-great-grandfather served in the United States Army.
Wow.
My great-grandfather served in the United States Army. My grandfather served in the United States Air Force.
Awesome.
And my father served in the Army.
Ah.
So I am serving for my generation, and little Curtis at home, you will serve for yours.
There you go.
So
Right. Way to
Got a
go.
plan.
we are a family that serves, which is something else that the people don't know about me. They see me and they have all these, preconceived notions about who I am, and then I start telling them, I said, I have no problems rolling my sleeve up. You don't know what kind of family I come from.
And she cooks.
And I cook.
Whoa, wait a minute.
Conversation
This is
stuff.
different now. We're going somewhere else now.
So I'm married to a Southern man, of course. Now I didn't always cook. He will correct
Biscuits
that.
and gravy?
Okay.
No, more collard greens and potato salad. Yeah. So I didn't always, and I never imagined it, but now the two
Sweet tea?
Curtises.
Sweet tea in the
Sweet
house?
tea, we can do some sweet tea.
Yeah,
So
sweet
yes,
tea in the
definitely a Sunday
There we go.
dinner type household at the
Yeah.
Ward House. So
Excellent.
that's that
Alright.
Southern in me that I can't get rid of. So and I love it.
And something else she can't get rid of, now I understand, the brother being a Q, so I won't hold that against them, but she's also AKA, so.
Yes, I'm a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. It'll be 25 years next year.
All right.
I am a member of the Alpha Alpha Theta Omega chapter, which we chartered here in Tampa to serve Greater North Hillsborough.
All right.
I also am a member of the Junior League of Tampa. I'm a sustainer now. I served as the Community Child Welfare Manager, which is if you want to speak military, is a high-ranking, a leadership position in the Junior League. And typically when people speak of the Junior League, they don't think of African Americans.
No.
Well, when I moved here in 2011, the Junior League, I came from Atlanta's league. They took
Okay.
me right in, and I worked very hard. And we actually had the opportunity to lead some great programs during my tenure there that were in District 5. And I'm really excited about that, and they continue to do so, work and serve District 5. So I'm proud of AK and the Junior League.
Well, that's
All
all
right,
So it's
all
like you've had some goals and things,
Right.
and you hit them. My question is, with your running for this position, what's a particular timeline
School
of
board,
something you're
district
going
board.
after?
Well,
You stop interrupting me.
well, one thing is that I think people should know is let me share something. I didn't realize that I was a behind-the-scenes type person. So I have a lot of trouble with posting on Facebook, like where I am. One
I
thing
like
that
that.
people, I have to share is that I substitute teach currently. So I'm in the schools every week. And so one of the things that I think is very important is understanding what's going on. And that's why I do like Addison Davis's his 100-day plan. He right now, and I have to give him a shout out, his first stops were achievement schools. So he went in from the very beginning to see these schools, to find out what's going on. So he made that his first stop, and I saw that on Twitter, and I was like, wow, that's awesome. So that is also what I'm doing. I'm making sure that I'm seeing for my own eyes. I don't understand how you can really be a policymaker, a decision maker, if the only time you enter a school is for an event.
Yeah, okay, but that's our history, though.
Yeah.
Well, so one of the things that people like to talk about is, that I'm not, typical, I'm not, from here. So that may be the history, but that's not me. I'm going to be on the ground. I want to see, because I want to be able to support teachers because I feel and I understand what's going on.
Sounds like you want to take responsibility for the results, be accountable to know what's going to be required to make something happen. You just can't blindly give commands out to these teachers. They're like, well, we don't have the funding. well, with what resources are we going to do that with?
Right.
Who's going to help us bring that up? In other words, a teacher, you just tell them, oh, you're not responsible for these 10 things.
Yeah, but
when do I have time for that?
But Gabriel, the school board just got a 1 cent, half cent sales tax passed, which is not being affected by the fallout with the county. The school board is getting their money, so this
But where's it going, I wonder?
But again, that's what the board's going to determine. So that's why we're trying to get some new faces, some new
accountable people. That's awesome.
In local government, because I deal with national government a lot, but it's important to have good people on the school board,
Absolutely.
city council, county commission, all those kind of things too. And like I say, most folks know I don't support a lot of people, but I do support people who I think are good people and people who are going to make a difference within this community.
And also too, Eddie, what also is important is making sure that you understand who's in the community.
Right.
And how we can work together. Because, things are changing, and they're changing right, in front of us. And you want to make sure that everyone has a seat at the table, and that changes are always positive, and that they affect everyone positively. And the only way to understand that is being there and seeing. So that's why I'm making sure that I'm making stops at all the schools and understanding really what's going on. And then student achievement. We really have to be honest about student achievement. Now, there are some things that, we can't control, and I think that it's important that people realize that a lot of things come from the state. There's some things that are law. We're given a playbook, and we have to know how to
You got
to
mandates you
exactly,
have to accomplish.
Exactly.
Or else a school can have funding pulled, maybe?
Who knows? But it's funny how many conversations I have about things that I'm like, that's state level, that's not local.
Right.
And people don't know that. So I think it's very important, too, that we are able to educate people about what is handled locally versus what is handled on a state level. I think that's important. And then just currently right now, the schools, we're a hot topic right now, too, with the closure. What does that mean for our students, especially in District 5, when you have a lower socioeconomic area, and even though there's going to be free Wi-Fi and all that, what does that mean for any student?
Well, but Wi-Fi doesn't fill the belly.
Okay, we got a caller. Kind of break in here. A caller, welcome to Porch Talk Radio on this fine Saturday afternoon. Who are you? Where are you calling from? And what say you? Hello.
All right, this is Brother Jarvis, Eddie Adams Jr.
Yes, sir.
How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great.
Guest, Miss Selena Ward. I always have, from my travels and just, being a person who have a broad scope, and it may sound simple, but I think it's very effective. I always wonder why, and I always ask policymakers, why don't we just make just uniforms for the school? First of all, I just think that would just give all that social pressure. Children not can wear this kind of name brand. It could put uniformity in the mind, kind of like how they have in the military. Why is that not a big issue in America? And why does the local school district don't take that as something that we should do? It look better when the school. I see children going to school with flip-flops on. It's embarrassing. The sagging, how they looking. They don't look like they're going to learn. They look like they're going to play and, it just don't look good. It just don't look like a learning environment. And I'd like to ask your guest, how would she feel about a start? And I know it's a big jump. They probably don't want to do it in the high schools, but maybe do it in all the middle schools, all the elementary schools. Somewhere with this uniform thing will save money for the parents, and we'll look more like a civilized, dignified school district. That's just my opinion. I'll hang up to hear her answer.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Jarvis.
A little old school there,
Yes,
but he's
well,
right.
Well, no, Brother Jarvis, I actually like that question. Well, I will tell you one thing. A lot of the achievement schools, they do now. It's not mandatory; they can't 100% enforce it. They do have uniform policies, and a lot of the kids do wear the uniforms. And you're 100% right. As a mother of 3, I know that it's much easier when there's a uniform in place, because then, especially, I don't have to worry about having a conversation about what you're going to wear, because it's already set in place, and it does save money because you have less things to buy. So, I do agree with you. But the uniform thing, you would be shocked on probably who opposes that the most. You would, because if you think about different families and clothing, clothing becomes a social thing.
It is.
So, kids want, identity. The statement. So, that is definitely a conversation that is beyond just our district. That's a conversation that would have to be countywide, because it would be very interesting to see who would oppose that. But I will say that District 5 does have some uniform policies in most of the elementary schools, and what I've seen is at least 90% participation. Now, as far as high school is concerned, you don't see it there as much.
Right.
But I agree with you. Oh wow, that would take some heartache out of the day, because high school is tough enough. So if they all were dressing like, it could allow them time to focus on things other than their outfit. But those are things that we need to talk about as a community, because we have to definitely get community support on some of that.
All right, we got another caller. Caller, welcome to Porch Talk Radio on this Saturday afternoon. Who are you? Where you calling from? And what say you? Hello.
Hi there, how are you? I'm just going to say that my name is Mom, because I'm going to stay anonymous through this. But first of all, I want to say thank you for the show, and thank you to Selena. Thank you to your family for your service and your sacrifices. So I appreciate all that your family has done. But I hear you say that we should all have a place at the table, right?
Yes.
But I have a problem, because I have several problems. I would love a place at the table, and I have 3 kids that have been students in Hillborough County. My oldest one is out. My 2 younger are still involved, and I've always been very, very involved. PTA, homeroom helper, chaperone, campus beautification, you name it, I've done it. And my kids have always been very involved. They're very high-achieving, motivated students. And that all changed for my kids when they started in a school at District 5, which I'm not going to name, because we've been threatened that if we speak up, we'll be kicked out of the school. So since being at the school, I've never felt welcomed. In fact, I've never felt more unwelcome. The guidance counselors are rude and literally unreachable. And if you call the school and the robo thing says press 1 for report your absence, press 3 for guidance, it immediately sends you to a voicemail that says this person you've called is not available. So there's no way to reach the guidance counselor. And I've had to hire my own personal guidance counselor because there was no support. And my emails to administration go unanswered. We had a scheduling issue. My daughter wanted to add a science class to her schedule and not take anything off, but add to it. And it took 6 weeks to get that adjusted, with the threat of I'm going to go get a lawyer to get her schedule adjusted. She's a senior and she needed the science. My kids don't feel welcomed. My kids don't feel safe. My kids say there are fights at least 1 per week. Yesterday there were 3 fights on the campus. The unruly kids are disciplined. The disrespectful students are disruptive to the learning environment. And the resource officer, you say, oh, go to the resource officer. My daughter has done that for an issue, and he yells at her, get out of my office, you don't belong here, or whatever, however he said it to her, but that was the feeling she got. And then there's even a teacher who was the chaperone for a field trip and took 20 kids, my daughter one of them, to Orlando for a weekend conference, and left the kids in Orlando to come back to Tampa to attend her daughter's middle school auction. And then she held some kid in the hotel room when she got back and threatened the kids, if you tell anyone what happened here, well, I'll kick you out of school. So I want to be welcomed. I know that I'm not the only family going through this at this particular school. And I have reported, I've been ignored, my calls aren't answered. So anyway, I just feel that I'm not welcome and I'm not heard. So
Well,
that's all I have. I'm going to hang up on my, well, I guess I need to stay on the phone, don't I?
You can hang up, ma'am. That's fine. Just listen.
Yeah, we'll
can
have
free
a
the line up.
conversation. Thank you
ma'am.
very much for calling. And I'm going to say this. Part of what happened in the evaluation process to get a new superintendent came out the fact that all of the F schools and many of the D schools was in the same city council district. So District 3 for city council is where all the bad schools were, which is in the hood, in the urban area. So part of that has probably something to do with resources, but how they treat people is a whole other story. So you want to answer that for her?
Well, first, the first thing that I heard her say is that she didn't feel welcome. And I'm guessing, she didn't say, but I'm guessing that she is in some type of program to where she's going to that school because of of a STEM program or an IB or performing arts, because she doesn't feel welcome.
Right.
So it doesn't sound like that's her community. It seems like she's chosen the school for a different reason.
Right.
you know, it's a problem when a parent doesn't feel welcome at school. You know, the caller spoke about several things, but the one thing that I want to stick on is you should always feel welcome at your school. And, you know, that is huge because we trust our teachers, our counselors, our administrators, our children spend a lot of time with them. Yeah. So I'm saddened that she doesn't feel welcome. And I'm also saddened that she doesn't feel comfortable voicing her concerns because she's afraid of retaliation of being put out of a program. That should never be the case. Parents should always feel like they can talk, because if we don't talk about what's going on, then we can't solve anything. You know, one of the things that I would say to the caller is, I commend you for staying. I commend you for not giving up. So that something is going right because you've stayed. You see something. It is unfortunate that you are going through this. I also invite the caller to, because I know she's wanted to say anonymous, to email me, because I would like to talk to her a little bit more one-on-one.
And how can they communicate with you?
You can go to voteselenaward.com, and my email address is my website. SELENAWARD.com. And my email, you can actually fill a form out, or my email address is there as well. All my information, even a phone number is there to contact me. But it's important.
And the phone number is?
The phone number is.
There we go. We can do this.
You got me, because I don't know my campaign phone number by heart. So I'll tell you just
give another one. You know, because the whole idea is for have people to be able to contact.
Yes, the number is 813-444-5872. And I want you to call me. It rings to my personal phone, so I will answer it. 813-444-5872. But if you look on my website and if you look on my business cards, it says, let's work together. It says, let's work together. And if we can't work together as a community, and that doesn't mean if, you know, just a certain race, that doesn't mean a certain, if you're from, it means everyone. We have to work together to improve our schools. So that caller, what she said is huge.
Yep.
That's not the first time I've heard that. And one of the other problems that we have is, in some of these schools, people feel like it's two schools because there's a certain program versus the traditional side. Well, there's only one school grade.
Right.
There's only one. So that collaboration of students is what gives that school a grade. That collaboration of students is what makes the football team great.
Right.
That collaboration of students is the school. So one of the things we have to do as parents is make sure that when we choose these programs, we don't also try to separate ourselves from the traditional side. And the traditional side has to make sure that just because they didn't choose to be in that program, that they don't separate themselves. All the kids can be friends. It's one school that we should all be proud of. So that's the first thing we need to do, is stop making these two separate schools.
Well, you know, and back to you're running for, you know, Hillsborough County School District. Part of politics is you got to have a platform, you got to have some issues, you know, and then, you know, put them out, and then, you know, people grasp those things. You know, it's not just the fact that you're a new face, you know, which is something I've been telling folks for years and years and years. We got to get some new people in politics and not just keep recycling the same old faces running, you know, for different slides, the same people.
Right.
You know, she's actually someone that's new to not new to the area, but new to politics in the area, and that's a big difference. So give people some issues and some reasons to vote for you.
Oh, one of the reasons to vote for me is because, one, like I said, first thing I think we need to do is work together. I mean, we need to become a community that understands the changes that are going on in the community. I mean, we are talking daily about what's going on with development, what's going on with housing, different things. We need to be able to make sure that those changes are positive when it comes to our children and education. There's been a lot of talk recently about housing, but there's been little talk about education.
Right.
So we need to make sure that we understand change and economic development and how it affects children. So that's one thing. The second thing is that I, as an educator, as a person that believes in the teachers, the administrators, and the staff, that I'm willing to advocate for them. Not just because, you know, it sounds great when you say you want to advocate. I've been in this. I've been a teacher. And my grandmother worked 32 years as the high school janitor.
Wow.
So I understand what support means. When I was a little girl, I used to leave school after school, and I went with her to the high school every day. So as far as when it comes to advocating and supporting the needs of the people that work at the school, I understand that personally.
There you go.
So that is why I believe that I can advocate for the people, because I've been in that situation. And then when we talk about achievement and the achievement gap, I believe the first thing we need to do is start educating the community on what this means. We like to talk big picture, but your average parent doesn't really know what the FSA means. They don't know about the SAT. There's so many things that people don't know. I'm an educator, and I have a hard time keeping up with my two daughters in high school now and some of these testing, and things are constantly changing from an AP class, an IB class, to, it's a lot to keep up with. So we have to start talking to our parents more and making sure that our parents understand what is required of their children as early as pre-K.
Right, there you go.
As early as pre-K. Early education is huge. We are talking a lot in our community about this kindergarten screening, but we're not talking about how we got there and what it means. We're talking a lot about the FSA in third grade, but we're not talking about the teacher shortage. So we need to talk about, when we talk about student achievement, we need to talk about it transparently and the whole subject. And then lastly, the reason to vote for me is because I keep hearing from you, the community, that you don't feel like you have a person that represents you. Someone said that they weren't running. It wasn't this race, it was another race. I heard a politician say, because I'm not a politician, I'm not claiming to be that. Someone say that I'm not running, for this because I need a job. Well, I'm not saying I'm running for this because I need a job, but this is a job.
It is a job.
This is a job. So anybody that's saying they don't need a job, well, they shouldn't be running for this, because this is a job.
Yeah.
So I'm ready to work for you, and I don't want you to have a child in Hillsborough County schools and feel like you don't have a person to call. This person needs to advocate for you, be there for you, and sometimes just listen to you. And that's what I'm willing to do.
That's awesome. That sounds strange, because you don't normally hear that from people running for this office. They say they're just going to fix it, and that's it.
Well, the Hillsborough County School Board is a little different, and it's been evolving over the years, because for many a year, the problem was, what everybody said, the problem was Mary Ellen Elia. And then they got rid of Mary Ellen, a number of years ago, and now, as recently as yesterday, they've got rid of Jeff. So the issue can't be, who's running the system, because we've had, 2, now 3 managers over probably the last 10 years, and the system is still doing what the system do.
Right.
So we got to get some difference in the boss. The school board has 2 employees, the chairman, the superintendent, and the lawyer. So those are the only 2 people that school board's responsible for managing, and those 2 people manage the rest of it. So the whole thing is to start getting some people in there who has a different viewpoint of what this whole thing is about, and I think that's how you start changing and getting some better results.
Eddie, I like that. And one of the also things that, I want to point out that you just said, there was a lot of blame on this person, that person,
Right.
that person.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're not going to hear me make promises. You're not going to hear me say, when I come in, I've got a magic wand, and I'm going to wave it, and
Fix
everything's going to be
everything.
pretty. That's not what I'm going to do.
Right.
And also, I think that we give people a lot of responsibility. We say, okay, you've got it. No one person can fix everything. You have to be able to work with other people and surround yourself with people, different people. When you put that much faith in one person, then you're setting yourself for failure.
And how big is this district?
How big is it?
It's
In the nation?
7th largest school
Hillsborough County,
district
yes.
in the country.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So at that point, putting in new mindset, people that can kind of work with it, that is a lot of responsibility
Yes.
for 2 main people to have, and it's taken years to get here.
Right.
It's
But
going to
there's
take a little while.
7
to do
board
it.
members, so, but they only have 2 employees. A lot of folks don't understand
But they all seem to be the same mindset, because you said we're still here,
how that works.
year in, year out.
Yeah.
Something's got to change.
Each district has its own different, is set up. Remember, we're all split up. So District 5, unfortunately, is where all the achievement schools are. So that's why you have a different emphasis on what's going on there, because unfortunately all the failing schools, as Eddie said earlier, are in one location.
And see, in the saying all the achievement school, that they keep changing the name, but at the end of the day, when they go through the state grading process, the same places end up in the same place. So changing the name from failing to achievement to whatever the new name is, the new name of the week is,
Right.
it's not changing the results we're getting out of the school system. And that's what's got to change.
That's right. And I've met some area superintendents and some different people that have been involved from the very beginning. We have some people that are really working, that are trying. But just like you said, this didn't happen overnight. So no one should be coming with a magic wand to fix it overnight.
And it has to be just a mindset that exists, because for you to say, okay, now I'm in charge and we're going to change this. Again, it took a while to get there, and everybody's been conditioned and trained one way.
Mm-hmm.
Now you got to undo it. And then you got to survive in the next election cycle to finish it.
Right.
Because you got to start the process, work your way through the obstacles there, and then into the second one, begin to see a little bit of fruit
Right.
of it. So you guys just stay at it.
You have to stay at it, and you also have to keep the same way that you're talking to people when you are campaigning. You have to keep talking to them after you make it, because if not, if you're out of sight, then they start believing in you.
Okay.
And that's one thing I know I have to do. People want to see, they want to keep having conversations. I believe that if you go to the community and you say, okay, this is what's going on and this is what we're trying to do, I believe there is patience there. But I believe when you stop talking is where there's a problem.
All right, speaking of talking, we got another caller.
Okay, good.
Caller, welcome to Porch Talk Radio this Saturday afternoon. Who are you? Where are you calling from? And what say you? Hello?
Yes, good afternoon. This is Sally Lee of the Volunteer Missionary Society, and I would just like to say I'm known as grandmother at my granddaughter's school, and I think that the teachers need more help and volunteers like aides, because that's a lot of work for one person. They don't even require that of corporations. One person to 35 or 40 students, that's a lot of responsibility. And I think we need the parents, the grandparents, to get up and help volunteer. We should reward our children more and motivate them to have creative classes for them to be able to express themselves.
All right, we hear the kids in the background.
Thank you, Miss Sally.
Yes, hello.
All right, thank you.
I've seen those grandmothers in the class. There were grandparents in the classroom at some of the schools that I go to, and they are a great addition. And if you don't know about it, let me quickly tell the listeners. So there's this program, they have grandparents in the classroom, and basically they're volunteers. And all the kids, I haven't been in a classroom yet where they call them by their name. They call them grandma or grandpa. And they are an additional resource for teachers. And from handing out papers to sitting one-on-one with the child, reading a book, they are very helpful, and they're in all classes from kindergarten to 5th grade. That's a great program, and she brings a valid point. When you think about other areas that may not have some of the issues that we have, you do see volunteers. But let's be realistic. Everyone doesn't have that time frame. So one thing that we could do in classrooms, in just elementary school, Kevin McDonald did this recently at their school, they had a STEM fair. And when they had that STEM fair, they had it after hours. So parents could come in, parents could volunteer if they wanted to, they could participate. So we have to be creative and make more ways for parents to volunteer, so we won't have that first caller where they don't feel welcome. So her point is valid. We do need to open the doors more to our parents.
And taking this as a moment to bring up a issue, folks, that listen to Porch Talk Radio, constantly people ask me, how many people we have listening. I tell folks we the #1 show on urban radio.
Worldwide.
But the fact that today's show, we've had probably more female callers today than we normally have, because our regular listeners know the guys that call, in a heartbeat, but we're usually talking about politics, or we're usually talking about something, happening more locally in the community, as opposed to today, I always say we have, black girl magic here in Tampa Bay, black female, black woman, magic, and we have some special, black females here. And again, the opportunity to add another one, to that list that people gonna know of, people gonna call, people gonna know who your name is, and part of getting the word out is what we do here at Porch Talk Radio. So we're gonna make it our business, to add you to our regular list, so we can get you in here, between now and the election, help folks, know who you are and how they know who you are, because as you can tell by the callers we've had, people are actively listening. So they ain't just sitting home listening to folks talk on the radio. they picking up the phone, they're
Yes.
calling, and like I told you when I first met you, part of the whole process is when I call folks, we want to do something, we need to show up, people do show up. So, and we got another caller. Caller, welcome to Porch Talk Radio. Who are you? Where you calling from, and what say you? Hello.
Joe Robinson, man.
Hey, Joe.
Hello, Joe.
Hi, Joe.
From out here at this crazy Sam. But anyway, everybody got coronavirus. Let's do it, boosting the economy. But Miss Ward, I'm looking at two candidates, Miss Ward and Henry Shake Washington. I ain't made my mind up, but I'm going to give them both the name.
All right.
And I want to say this too. Addison Davis is coming in, and he said it cleaned up this mess. We got to get Jeff on. I miss you out there, Eddie. You missed a damn good event out there at the stadium. He's great turnout. Great goodbye to Jeff. Great guy.
Okay.
Definitely helped the NAACP. But I want to say this lady here sounding smooth.
Yes.
She sounds
Very nice.
good. Okay? She's young. She's energetic. She's a little old. But we're going to see who win it out. I think these going to be the two forces. Schellenberger might squeak in there. Both of them get the argument. But I just want to say Ms. Ward is a good person. We need to give her a chance. Just like everybody give me a chance. And let's see what she can do. I know she's been trying to get a hold of me, but I'm very hard to get a hold of with coronavirus right now. Because I'm trying to get the FBI back on the city, on this housing and all this nonsense. Because I hear one more negative thing about this housing stuff. So I just want to call and say, hey, it is men listening to the show, man. We're just out here trying to find out what the hell to do. Ain't no football, ain't no baseball, ain't no sports, man. What the hell do you do?
And Joe, I know you know about that meeting Monday that they having about the Tampa Park apartment that's happening at the church on Monday, right? 6:30 p.m. Okay, he's already gone. But there's a meeting Monday just while since it came up, about the Tampa Park apartment, New Salem Progressive Baptist Church, 1605 North Nebraska Avenue. Primitive. Okay, I'm sorry. See, they just got PB, so
Okay.
I I
Peanut butter?
try to fill it in. But again, thank you for the correction. Which is happening Monday, March 16th at 6:30. So that's a community thing, and that's being set up and led by some of our magic black women who make stuff happen here in Hillsborough County, because the county and the city kind of let that slip away. Now that it's gone, they're doing what they do. They're calling a meeting and trying to get community activists and people in the community involved, and they haven't given up. So they must think it's something to do. They want to hear your input, get folks involved, and that would be a good place to show up. And I'm not gonna try to schedule you, but that's a good place for you to be.
Well, let me say something. Of course, because that's my church.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my church.
Yeah.
Reverend Benjamin Curry.
All right.
That's actually my church.
Okay.
And Reverend Curry has been, I heard that he was hosting the meeting there, so of course I'll be there. But he has been actively involved from the very beginning. A matter of fact, something that people don't know about me and Reverend Curry and New Salem Primitive Baptist Church is that 3 years ago I actually founded a food program that serviced the children in Tampa parks over the summer, so they can come and eat. It's through Hillsborough County. So he's always had an interest in making sure that he was involved with that complex. I know he's working with 18 families right now. Personally, he is, to help them with relocation. So, just a shout out to Reverend Curry and what he's doing over there, because he's always been involved.
Actively involved.
That's
great.
Now let me go ahead and say this too. Now, for those who want to meet Selena Ward Monday, that meeting, that's a good place to show up.
Okay.
Now I'm not gonna go shake her hand, because we don't want to, spread the coronavirus and any of that kind of stuff.
Maybe a fist bump.
But come out and meet her. Come out and see who she is. Come out and personally have a conversation with her. Because that's what it's all about. It's about meeting and knowing the people who you may end up voting for, and getting a feel for what kind of person they are. And that's how you do it. That's what I used to do. Make sure people know you. People can get a feel. They say, well, there's some chemistry there. And if you meet this young lady, you're gonna find out that she's more than just a pretty face. And I'm kind of throwing that in. Her husband is in the room, so I said that when he wasn't in the room. So she understands.
And I'm the other married guy staying quiet.
Yeah, you better stay quiet. Cause he married to a black woman too. She'll kick his butt. So.
She actually did listen to the show one day and said, wait a minute, who are you talking about? Oh.
No, don't get in trouble on my behalf.
Yeah. So that's a good event to show up and come out and participate in your community. You know, take a part and come meet some of the people who are trying to make a difference. Now, since we got a short break and the show is almost over, you know, I got to get in the on this day in history. You know, y'all, any regular listener know how important that is.
So
you know,
important.
Since we started. So on this day, March the 14th in 1794, Eli Whitney received a patent for the cotton gin. And see, that's one of the things I actually studied in school. The cotton gin. You know, it's been around for a while. It revolutionized cotton picking because that's how they actually process cotton. So so people used to do all that stuff manually, and he invented the machine that revolutionized the whole cotton industry. On this day, March 14th in 1900, U.S. currency went on the gold standard, which they should have stayed, but anyway, with the ratification of the Gold Standard Act. On this day, March the 14th, 1914, Henry Ford announced the new continuous motion method for assembling cars. Up until that point in time, the process took 12 hours per car. Now, after that, they started doing it in 93 minutes. So they make a car back then, 100 years ago, in 93 minutes.
Wow, that's pretty amazing.
And I was taught that Henry Ford invented the car, but then later I found out that it was a German company and German guy that actually invented the automotive that we know of.
He just copied it.
Yeah, but again, what he did, he made it better. He improved it. So that's
back then. Only had 5 parts: the motor, the brake, and a steering wheel. I mean, come on now.
I think Selena wants to say something.
So technology. I'm getting text messages. So everyone, be on just still keep listening and let's see here. I'm getting text messages that the meeting may be postponed due to the coronavirus. So just keep listening and stay updated on that. If it is postponed, there'll be a notice on the church door on Sundays for everyone to find out. But Pastor Curry has not texted me back, but I'm getting messages from other people saying that they think it was postponed. So just want to put that out, just to keep up with it because things are getting postponed.
Okay, and also I got one more on this date. On this date in 1964, a Dallas jury found Jack Ruby guilty of the murder of Lee Harvey Oswald. For those, every now and then I run across this stuff. I remember when it happened because I was alive. Because they say history begins the day you were born. But I know some history happened while I've been here, and some stuff happened before I got here. But you remember back in those days, there was Robert Kennedy and there was John Kennedy and Martin Luther King. A bunch of folks got assassinated, and people who killed them were assassinated. And so stuff was a mess back then. So anyway. I want to make sure that Selena give her information out again for those who want to contact her, call her, email her, text her. Those who want to give her some money, because being a politician, understand that there is a need for you to contribute. And I'm gonna tell you, black folks, I don't mind calling, saying black folks and saying white folks, but you got to help your candidates out. You got to help your candidates out. And you got to give more than just lip service. We are going to be the hardest on you once you get elected. So you might as well make sure the person that you want to get elected by helping them out financially. So go ahead and give your information out.
Yes, I'm going to give that out, but first I have to say, did you hear that? Joe Robinson called and gave me a shout out. Wow, that just made my day. That made my day.
She did ask me, did I know Joe? And I say, I know Joe very well.
Yes, good luck in Sam's, but yes, that made my day. So, okay, let me give you my phone number. My phone number is 813-444-5872. That's 813-444-5872. You can visit my website by going to VoteSelenaWard.com. And Selena is spelled SelenaWard.com. So you can visit that. And lastly, I do want to say that I did just get a text from Pastor Curry, and he said that it will not be at New Salem on Monday due to the coronavirus, and just to stay tuned to find out where the new location and date for that meeting will be. Thank you so much for having me, both of you.
Well, thank you for coming. And again, this is a community service. When I was having my meeting, when I first met Selena, I kind of said, this is a platform, and this platform allows us to help and move the community forward, introduce new people to the community, issues that come up, use it for communication, all those kind of things. And at the end of the day, even though they have shows on all day Saturday, and then most of them are talk shows, this show's a little bit different in that, all the other shows are liberal democratic shows, I'm just saying.
And we're the common sense one.
And I'm talking about the hosts
God bless the rest of
most of those shows, but this show's a little different. And how we are a little different, we have a different point of view that we bring to the table, and most of the folks we bring to you
is what you're saying.
are not people you already know. And that's the good part of it. You don't already know these folks.
New ideas, new voices.
So you get to meet them and enjoy them and actively listen, which is what they're doing.
Thank you. Well, a friend of mine said a new broom sweeps clean. So
that's what they say. and a new king brings his own court. So that's hopefully what will happen when we get the new superintendent of schools here, and you get some new school board members and
new blood.
And then if change don't happen, then we can actually go and say, well, this is why. But you can't keep doing the same thing, keep getting the same folks and expecting different results.
That's true.
Because I've been told a long time ago that's the definition of insanity.
That don't work. It don't work.
So anyway, while we got a couple of minutes left, I want to go ahead, and tell folks, I personally believe that this corona thing has been taken to an extreme. And again, you cannot be afraid to walk out your door and stop everything from happening, because until you and somebody can call in next week and say, I know somebody who has had it, I know somebody who's infected with it.
Send us a selfie with them, would you?
I know somebody who's been, who had a problem with it, because again, the media loves to do tricks like this. They love to scare people. That gives them power. They will not report good news. They love reporting bad news and tragedies. And they can't wait till a hurricane is coming or something like that. Their ears perk up, their office get active, and everybody's busy. Buzz. But at the end of the day, I think it's hurting a lot of folks, because now you got people not going to school, you got people not going to work. The fact that Disney is not having millions of people from all over the world come, at some point in time, it's gonna reach an economic, point to where the repercussions are gonna become negative.
Well, Eddie,
and that's what I'm fearing.
And I believe it's just a game that's being played on our nation.
Oh yeah.
Because people say, well, no, the media just reporting the news. Mm-hmm. Well, it's news that they're wanting to make up and report, because it's no longer journalism. Journalism required research.
Right.
And for them to have known that in 2009, 60 million Americans were infected with the swine flu,
right,
of which 1,000 died before that president said, oh, I think we got an issue. But the media, nobody knows that, because nobody remembers it, because the media didn't say anything about it.
And they buried it. They intentionally buried that.
And now we got, what, 60 people that maybe have died?
Yeah.
And majority are, what, 70 plus or something?
Over 50. All of them over 50.
Yeah. So with the exception of the one guy that discovered, of course, he's gone. He might already had a health issue. No children, and just mainly old folks' homes right now to watch the majority.
Children are pretty much immune to it, so not affected.
Well, no. The media says that anybody who's breathing is possibly a carrier, and that the world's going to end in the next few days. But as we understand, if we shut the TV off,
right, that's what they say,
and if we just go wash our hands like we're supposed to as adults, and teach our children to do the same, we'll make it, because we've made it through the flu. How long has the flu been around, Eddie? You know the medical
microbiologist. The coronavirus has been around since 1920.
And it hasn't wiped out the population in the planet yet.
No. And again, you got to remember, even back in the days when they had, the Black Plague, in which hundreds of millions of people, died from, we got over it.
Yep.
Right now, what they're making happen here is everybody's panicking. You got kids afraid to leave their house. That becomes a disgrace to do something to that degree. And at some point in time, you gotta. Now I'm saying like this. I didn't want to know nobody who had Ebola. This ain't
that
Ebola.
was very bad.
It ain't the same kind of thing.
No.
But again, nobody that I know, no one that I heard, and I heard 3 hospitals. St. Joseph, Tampa General, and Advent Healthcare say, nobody so far in Tampa Bay was submitted to any of those hospitals or healthcare facilities with it. So to cancel all these meetings and have all this stuff happen on the threat of not, that's like saying, well, I woke up this morning, something can happen to me today. Yes, something can happen to you every day, but you can't be afraid to wake up and do stuff. And that's why it's going to be paralyzing if they continue with the way they're going.
And just to think that why did a few highfalutin people, movie stars, suddenly get it, and it bypassed millions of people in between them and us, but they got it.
Yeah.
I think they just work for relevance, popularity. That's it. God bless America. It's time, Eddie. We gotta go.
It's that time to give your final remarks before we go.
All about students, Selena Ward, about SelenaWard.com.
All right.
See you soon.
Tampa Bay, we love you. Until next week.
God bless America.
Same
Get some
bat
lines
time,
to fight that corona.
Same bat station.
I'm going to get ice cream.
See you.
Oh.
Bye bye.
There you go.